Good afternoon, everyone. I'm live again with yet another session for the preparation of CAT 2020 and other management exams. I had a detailed discussion yesterday about different strategies for vocabulary building. We had a discussion of numerous vocabulary building techniques which are proven to be very effective for building words and vocabulary. In that session only, I discussed one of the most effective and efficient strategy, etymology, learning words with their roots. So in today's session, we are going to have a detailed discussion on etymology, right? How with roots and understanding the meaning of the roots, you can build your vocabulary, right? But before that, let me begin with my introduction. Those of you who are attending my session for the first time or who are watching my video for the first time, let me introduce myself to them. My name is Neelam Malkani. I'm going to be a facilitator for CAT and other management exams. I possess around 12 years of experience of test preparation industry, and I have trained students of CAT, GRE, GMAT, IELTS, TOEFL and CLAT, right? My areas of expertise have been verbal reasoning and English. I have also designed and set assessment papers of English and reasoning for actual papers for professional bodies as well as for government bodies of different states. I also served as an examiner of English for an international organization. Recently, I have authored a comprehensive book of English for the preparation of competitive exams. The book is written in both Hindi and English. Now this video is brought to you by Unacademy, India's largest online platform for the preparation of various competitive exams. So let me tell you a bit about Unacademy and how you can be part of this learning platform, right? So step by step, let me take you to its portal and tell you how you can enroll yourself for your preparation of these exams. So first of all, you have to go in the Play Store and download Unacademy Learning app. You will be shown two versions of the app. You have to download Learning app. Once you install the app and fill in all the details which are required, you will be shown the categories which are there, plus free courses and special classes. If you want to attend CAT classes, you will have to go in the category plus. Once you choose the category, you will be shown all the courses which are offered under the category of plus. These courses are CAT, GRE, IELTS, CS, CBSE exams, and so on and so forth, right? So if you are interested in attending the classes for CAT, you choose that product. Once you choose the product, you will be shown all the features that you will be offered when you choose the course. 30 plus hours of live session every day, as per your convenient time, as per your availability, as per your choice, you can attend the sessions. The 30 hours live session are delivered every day. These sessions are delivered by 14 plus top educators of India who have extensive experience of their respective fields and subjects. They have been mentoring students for years. These courses, the courses which are delivered by these faculty members, are well structured and designed, especially by those people who have experience of curriculum design and module development. Every month you get to see a new course being launched on Unacademy platform. When you go in the subscription, you will see all the subscription models. You don't have to pay fee for entire year. If you feel you're targeting 2020 exam, you can pay fee for 2 months or 1 month. If you feel that is the suitable subscription model for you, you can go for that. So there are various options, various subscription model available to suit your needs and necessities, right? So go in that. When you go for subscription, when you move forward to pay, if you want to avail 10% discount, you will have to type code Neelam, right? When you type this, you will be able to avail 10% further discount in whichever model you choose, right? Okay, so enough about me and enough about Unacademy. Now let's get started with today's session. Etymology, right? As you can see from the picture, it represents roots, right? So it's always good to be rooted. It's always good to be grounded, right? So for vocabulary building as well, this is going to be a very effective strategy because in English, numerous words have come from Latin, Greek, and other languages like French, German, and Spanish, right? So those words which have come from Greek and Latin, they have come along with their roots. All right. So if you know the root and if you know the meaning of the root, it will be far easier for you to understand all the words which are derived from that particular root. All right. Easier said than done. You will get to see in coming slides how with one root only you can remember as many as 6 to 7 words. Sometimes one root only will give you 10 words. All right. Now, before starting with today's session, before starting with roots, let me give you a quote by Wilkins in which he expressed his words of wisdom saying, while without grammar, very little can be conveyed, without vocabulary, nothing can be conveyed. How aptly he put this across. Vocabulary is needed to verbalize your emotions, your ideas, your opinion, your experiences. You will feel crippled or handicapped if you cannot express your true emotion, if you cannot verbalize your idea with the correct word or with the precise word that represent the idea. All right. So this is how you can transform your communication, you can transform the way you write something if you have robust vocabulary, right? So needless to say, vocabulary is very, very important. In yesterday's session as well, I told you different reasons that make vocabulary so much significant part of your communication and language development. So don't confine this journey of acquiring vocabulary to prepare for a specific competitive exam. It is going to be a lifelong learning for you and it is going to give you rich dividends in future for your professional development as well as for your personal development. All right. So be committed, show some perseverance, don't give up easily if you feel frustrated that your vocabulary is not uplifted. Even after attending some classes, even after doing some vocabulary session, if you don't give up. Consistency is going to be the key. All right, let's start. So let's start with a very positive word today, EU, right? So EU is a root which represents good, which represents blissfulness, all right? So if you come across this root, though I have compiled all the words which are high frequency words and which are commonly used in all the narratives, yet if you come across a new word with this root, you can easily anticipate the meaning with something positive or something which is, which has positive meaning. All right, so let's start with first word which has root EU, euphemism. It is one of the figures of speech. All right, so figures of speech are those words which embellish the language, which beautify the language. As in Hindi, we have alankar. So poet, writers, authors use alankar to beautify their expression, right? So add beauty to their expression, they use these alankar. Show is done by authors in English. When they use figure of speech, they try to be creative, they try to be more expressive, they try to be more vivid in their expression. All right. So euphemism is a figure of speech. Euphemism is actually used for replacing an offensive term or a harsh term with a term which is less offensive or which is less harsh. All right. Now let me give you some example of euphemistical phrases. Now, you might have noticed that in all the platforms, we have replaced some words. We don't call anyone poor anymore. We call them underprivileged. We don't say he's physically disabled. We say he is differently abled, right? So instead of saying physically disabled, which could be a harsh term, which could be a rude term, you have replaced the term with differently able. It's more positive, which is pleasant sounding term, all right? So these terms are euphemistical terms. For those ideas or for those expressions which are tabooed in general conversation, we use euphemistical phrases. For death, we don't say he died, rather, we say he passed away. All right? When you say, when this time is tough, the economy is in doldrums, there are a couple of words which have come into different narratives. So when somebody is about to get fired, we say he is pink slipped, right? So pink slip is a slip which is given to somebody who is made redundant in an organization. So instead of saying you are fired, you say you are pink slipped, right? When I say I'm jobless, it may seem as if it's a derogatory term. It may sound as if I don't have skills or I am not competent enough to get a job. But when I say I'm between jobs, I'm between two jobs. So that means, I'm searching for another job. So here, jobless, instead of saying jobless, you say I'm between jobs. Same, if you try to cut down the number of employees in an organization because you cannot bear the expenses of their salaries, you say, the organization is on downsizing, right? So downsizing is a euphemistic term for cutting the number of the heads, all right? So you see these phrases which may be offensive, these phrases which may be rude, you replace these phrases with those words which may not be as offensive. They are sugar-coated terms. So this way of expression, this way of telling, this way of communicating your idea is euphemism, right? So EU is for saying good. Instead of saying in a bad way, you say in a good way. Eulogy is an expression of high praise for someone, right? It's a formal expression of praise. So when soldiers show their bravery in a specific war or in a specific battle, so eulogy is expressed. Eulogy is also expressed when a person dies. At the time of his funeral, eulogy is expressed by deceased loved ones, or especially family members. So eulogy is a formal expression of praise. So you here again comes for good, saying good for someone, saying good words for someone. So that is eulogy, eulogistic praise. Euphony. Phone is a word or a root which comes for sound, symphony, right? It's a symphonious sound of Lata Mangeshkar. The symphony is good sound, so is euphony, right? So euphony will be for good sound. Euphonious sounds of birds chirping in the morning. Euphonious sounds of Beethoven, right? So euphony is representing good sound, melodious sound, which is pleasing to hear. Euphoria. So euphoria is a state of extreme ecstasy when you feel you are on a cloud nine. Extreme sense of happiness is euphoria. So feeling extremely good. All right. So Russia was euphoric when it invented the vaccine in the world, right? So Russia was the first country which claimed that it has invented the vaccine for corona. So that was a euphoric moment for entire world, right? So that was the happiest moment for entire world because world has been facing trials and tribulation because of this disease. All right. So euphoric moment is when you feel extremely happy. Euthanasia. So euthanasia is the practice of killing or legally killing those people who are terminally ill, those people whose condition is beyond salvage, right? Who are suffering from incurable disease and whose chances of recovery is almost nil. So there are some countries where the practice of euthanasia is there, where these people, with the consent of their family members or with their own consent, are legally killed by doctors. So euthanasia is happy death, good death. Get death on your own terms because you don't want to live anymore. All right. So in India, we don't have the concept of euthanasia, but up to some extent, active euthanasia and passive euthanasia. So passive euthanasia has been implemented in some cases, but we don't have the cases of active euthanasia. All right. So euthanasia is a kind of mercy killing. All right. So EU here, euthanasia, EU is representing happy death, good death, death on your own terms. Eureka. It's an exclamation sign, or it's an exclamatory word which is associated with Archimedes. When he came up with that discovery, accidental discovery, when he invented, he said Eureka. He finally found the solution. He finally found that discovery. All right. So Eureka is an expression which you use when you suddenly have a sense of gratification or sense of achievement. Suddenly you have this feeling that you have found an answer to something. All right. So that is Eureka. It's an exclamatory word, interjection. All right. So euphemism is a pleasant word which is replaced with an offensive word. Eulogy, praising somebody to the skies, extolling somebody too much. Euphony, good sound. Euphoria, feeling extremely good, feeling very happy. Euthanasia, happy death. Eureka, sense of achievement, sense of gratification. All right, I hope with this root and with the meaning of the root, all these words are clear. See, this is the magic of root word. If you know one root, now even if you come across a new word, completely new word, let's say you come across word eugenics. Eugenics, you may easily interpret the meaning of the word that it has something to do with good. All right. So when I say eugenics is the branch of science which studies good genes, how next generation can be procreated taking the good genes of parent, right? So this is how eugenics, gene and you, so good genes. That's how you can come to the meaning of this word. See how effective this is. All right. Now let's move on to next slide. Next root for word development is FIDE. That means trust. All right. So this word stands for trust or belief. Now let's see words which have derived from this root. Confident. So when you feel confident, you are assured. When you feel confident, you are certain. You have trust in your ability. I'm confident of my success. That means I have trust that I'm going to succeed. All right. So this is the meaning of confident. I hope all of you are aware of that. Let's go forward and understand the meaning of fidelity. So fidelity is trustworthiness. Fidelity is faithfulness. All right. Fidelity in marriage. Fidelity in relationship. Fidelity with your organization. All right. So this is the quality which is marked by being trustworthy or being faithful and loyal to whichever organization you work for, or whichever outfit you are associated with, or whichever person you are in a relationship. All right. So here fidelity comes for loyalty or faithfulness. Confidant. So if I say my mother is my confidant, so when I say, it means I trust my mother with my secrets. I share my innermost feelings with my mother. Usually mothers are confidant for their daughters. That means girls usually confide in their mothers with their secrets, with their innermost feelings. Confidant is a person who you put your trust in, a person who is trustworthy, or a person who you can rely on, right? So if I say Amit Shah is the confidant of Narendra Modi, so I hope this example will make it explicitly clear what confidant means. He possibly shares all his secret, all his feelings with Amit Shah. All right. So confidant is a person who is trustworthy. Again, root trust being applicable here. Confidential. So confidential information is not supposed to be shared with everyone. So confidential is only for those who are trustworthy, because it is something which is not supposed to be revealed or not supposed to be divulged with everyone. So confidential information, confidential data. All right. Perfidious. Now, perfidious is somebody who is not loyal, right? Per always stands for detachment. So he is not attached with trust, right? We'll do this root per in later classes, but let's stick to this root today. Perfidious stands for those people who are not trustworthy, who are not loyal, who betray their partners, who betray their organization, who betray their country. Perfidious, that is a person who is not loyal. All right. So perfidious actions will be penalized under sedition charges, right? So perfidious action, whoever is not loyal will be imposed with sedition charges. So sedition also stands for, the word also stands for not being loyal. The opposite of confident is diffident, all right? So when you don't feel confident about your abilities, you don't have trust in your own competence, then you feel diffident. You are not assured of expressing yourself completely. You are not certain of your ability. You feel diffident, you feel shy, you feel timid, all right? So diffident is actually composition of different mental state. You feel shy because you are not confident. You feel timid because you cannot muster enough courage. All right. So diffident is composed of these emotions, but broadly you can understand diffident by as an antonym of confident. All right. So you see this root being applicable in all these words. Let's have one more slide with this root only. See how many words you can gather with only one root. Confide. So confidant. In previous slide we did confidant. My mother is my confidant. Who is your confidant? So confidant, verb here is confide. Who do you confide with? When you are in crisis and when you need solution, who do you confide with? When you have a secret, someone's secret, who do you confide with? So confide is a verb which is used for trusting someone, right? So confidant and confide, both are related. This is verb and that's a person, that's an adjective. So to give sensitive information to someone else to hold in trust, right? So you confide with someone, you actually trust that person. Affidavit, so that's a statement or declaration. It's a written document in which you take an oath that whatever information or whatever facts are provided are true to my knowledge, right? Which makes you trustworthy. So if you give an affidavit to an organization or a government agency, government will assume that you are trustworthy on the basis of information that you have provided in that affidavit. All right. So this is how this root FID is also applicable in affidavit as document which makes you trustworthy, believable. Opposite of fidelity is infidelity. Infidelity in marriage, infidelity in relationship. So infidel is a person who is not trustworthy. So there is a slight difference or distinction which exists between perfidious and infidel. Infidel is usually associated with not being trustworthy in relationship or marriage. Perfidious is for bigger causes, like for organization, for company, for country, you are perfidious, right? But if you're not loyal to a person, infidelity or infidel would be the right word. So try to see these distinctions also. Though they are synonymous, yet there exists subtle difference. Fiduciary is, a relationship in which one individual has the trust and confidence of another to manage or protect the money. So fiduciary responsibility of bank officers, fiduciary responsibility of financial institutions, because they are trusted by people with their money. All right, so when a person is trusted, like a trustee who holds a trust, who organizes a trust, the trust is where people, a lot of money is deposited or a lot of money is given as a charitable causes. So the trustee has fiduciary responsibilities to carry out. All right, so fiduciary is those responsibilities which are based on trust. Bona fide, another root here, born, right? So we'll cover that in coming classes. Bona fide is again something which is done in good faith. Your documents are also bona fide. So when you are asked to come for the interview after you are clear with your aptitude and your return phase, you're asked to come for the interview. presented with all your bona fide. So bona fide statements are those statements or those documents which are authenticated by an organization, which state it clearly that what you claim is right. If you claim you have secured 90% in 12th class, so your bona fide is going to be your certificate, your mark sheet of 12th class, which is going to prove it, yes, what you say is right, which is going to make you trustworthy. So bona fide are authentic documents, all right? So see, with FIDE trust, with FIDE root, that means trust, you have words like confident, diffident, opposite, fidelity, infidelity, opposite, confidant, confide, confidant is person, confide is verb, confidential, perfidious, that's synonymous with infidel, but I told you the difference, affidavit, fiduciary, and bona fide. All right? Now let's go on the next slide. It is going to capture the words with belief. The earlier FIDE was with trust, this is with belief, right? So almost synonymous, but the words are different. So credo is the first word with this root, a set of opinions, right? So credo of Christianity, credo of Hinduism. Credo of Hinduism does not allow cow slaughter. So that is the belief, the set of opinion which are held by people who believe in Hinduism. Alright? So credo is nothing but a set of opinion, usually followed by a specific sect or religion. Alright? Credo can also be associated with an organization, right? Creed. It's a formula of specific faith, caste, and creed. So a specific sect which follows specific credo, set of principles, set of opinion. So that is creed, different caste and creed. So set of principle. People who follow that principle, creed. They are composed of that creed. Credit. So your credit worthiness is in the market, is, like you have your CIBIL score, which clearly reflects how much credit worthiness you have to take a loan, right? So credit is your how much worthy you are, how much value you hold in the market, all right? So that is what your credit is. I hope all commerce students understand what credit here is. Credible, something which can be believed. Credible record. Mahendra Singh Dhoni has a credible record as a captain, Indian cricket captain. So credibility, he has built credibility with his successive feats, right? With successive performance, with successive, victory, he proved his credibility as a captain. All right. So credible is somebody who can be believed. Here only another word comes, credentials. Your certificates are your credentials. Your profile is composed of your credentials. What credentials you bring when you go for a job, what all credentials you possess that makes you worthy of a job. Alright, so your credentials are your experience, credentials are your academic excellence, credentials are your extracurricular activity achievements. So all these make your credentials, right? So if you have work experience, that's also going to be a part of your credentials. The credentials are what you possess, right? So that makes you trustworthy. Credible opposite will be incredible, but that's not exact opposite. Incredible is, like we say, incredible India. So that does not mean India cannot be believed or India cannot be trusted. So the word is used in a positive way. It's used for those things which are beyond belief. They are so good, they are so amazing, they are so mesmerizing that they are beyond belief. So India, incredible India, right? And so when you translate that into Hindi, that is Adbhut Bharat, Atulniya Bharat, right? So it's not Avishwasniya Bharat. So Atulniya Bharat, Adbhut Bharat, that means there is so much diversity. There are such a vast, diverse, places to see in India that it's unbelievable that a place like India exists, right? So that is how incredible India is justified. So incredible means something unbelievable, but in a positive way. It's used in a positive connotation. Credulity. So when you say he is credulous, credulity is noun, credulous is adjective. You define somebody as credulous. And the characteristic is credulity. So, credulous is a person who believes others very easily, who is very trusting, right? Who is kind of gullible. Gullible is a bit pejorative word because that person may be dumb, that's why he believes others very easily. But credulous is a person who is characterized by propensity to believe others easily. Alright? So, credulity. So, when you see credulous customers being fleeced by these fund managers. A lot of people are lured by these fund managers to invest in a certain schemes and then they run away with the money. They siphon off their funds. So they are credulous. They are credulous because they believe they can earn 20% interest in a month, right? They don't verify the fact, they don't gather the information, they don't do their research, and that is why they are credulous. They can easily be fooled because they trust others easily. So credulity and credulous. Credulous will be an adjective, credulity will be a noun. So both words can be used for those people, I mean a noun and adjective, of course differently, but the characteristic is believing others very easily. Opposite is incredulity, when you are skeptical, right? So whenever you have this tendency to doubt everything, you are incredulous. Incredulity. So as you age, you become incredulous, right? Usually, I mean, it's not written in stone, but usually when people age, they become cynical, they become incredulous because they stop believing everything or every person easily. They take time to post their trust in someone, right? So incredulity is reluctance to believe or becoming skeptical or suspicious. Alright? So see, with belief and trust, we have as many as 17 words, around 10 words with FIDE root and 7 words with cred root belief. Alright? So credo, creed, credit, credible, something which is believed, something which can be believed, incredible, impossible to believe or difficult to believe. Credulity, willingness to believe easily. And incredulity is being skeptical. Now one more very positive root that stands for life, right? So I have been taking very positive roots today so that we start on a very positive note and you gather more and more energy to remember these words and retain these words in your memory. So VIB stands for life. It stands for energy, liveliness. So look at the words which have derived from this root. Vivacious. Remember Kareena Kapoor's character in Jab We Met. She was so exuberant, lively, cheerful, energetic that wherever she goes or whenever she speaks, she spits life, right? So that is what the meaning of vivaciousness is, or vivacious person is. Vivaciousness will be characteristic, that's noun. Vivacious is an adjective. When you call a person vivacious, the person lightens the atmosphere. When he speaks, when he comes, everybody feels enthusiastic and energetic, right? So the person spreads energy around. So he's so vibrant and full of energy and full of life that the atmosphere becomes so lively with his presence, right? So that is vivaciousness. So vivacious is having a lively, attractive personality. So remember Kareena Kapoor, Jab We Met, the way she spoke, the way her character represented all the qualities of vivaciousness. Convivial, another word with this root, cheerful and friendly in atmosphere or character, right? So convivial is somebody who is sociable, somebody who mingles with others, somebody who does not, live in solitude, who does not live in isolation, but rather who would go out, mingle with people and talk, right? So that is convivial or convivialism. So convivialism is sociability, mingling with people, talking to people, being extroverted and being expressive. All right. So you see, there is subtle distinction between vivaciousness and convivial. Right? A vivacious person is always convivial. but a convivial person may not necessarily be vivacious. All right? Vivid. So when you go to a showroom or a mall and you try to buy a television set, all the salesmen will tell you that they have the vivid picture. This screen has the vivid picture. This shows you the vivid colors. So vivid is clear, as if you are seeing things happening before you, as if life is happening before you. So that is what is vivid. When I say I have vivid recollection of my childhood, that means I can still recall my childhood as if it's happening before me. Clear, vivid, lifelike, right? So vivid means something which is very, very clear. All right, so that also is related with life, as if it's happening before you. Bon vivant, very interesting word. So this stands for a person who likes to live luxurious life, right? Who is so indulgent in good living, or especially high living, that he cannot be associated with ordinary way of life. So a person who enjoys going out with friends, eating good food, drinking good wine, going on different destinations, enjoying life to the fullest. That is what is born born. So imagine a person who you know as a person, as somebody who enjoys life to the fullest, who is not bothered about the mundane affairs of life, right? But rather who would always live a life which is full of materialistic pleasure or full of hedonistic pleasure, right? So bon vivant is nothing but a person who enjoys life to the fullest. Revive. Now, economy is coming into a revival mode, right? So, our finance minister is trying very hard to revive economy. So, economy almost, went downhills. So, we had negative growth rate in last quarter. So now all the stimulus packages are being given to revive industrial sector, to revive service sector, and to revive agriculture sector, right? So revive is to bring into life, right? To impart life to something, to bring back to life is revive. To become or to make somebody something conscious or healthy. So revive somebody is also, literal meaning of revive is also to make somebody conscious. But in a figurative way, it is also used to bring back life to something. Alright? Joie de vivre. It's a French word which is used for a feeling of great happiness and pleasure in life. Alright? So remember the character of Katrina Kaif in Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, right? So she lives as it comes by. She lives life as it comes by. She's not bothered about what she is going to face in future. She's not bothered about the consequences of living a bohemian life, but she enjoys the life as it comes by. All right. This kind of spirit, this kind of mindset explains what joy de vivre means, right? So it explains happiness in life. It can be in a conversation. It can be, the happiness that you derive from having a trip, traveling, or doing something exotic. Anything which pleases you, something which makes you happy, can be characterized as joy in the vivre. So it is enjoyment of life, happiness of life. All right. So see, one root, VIV, meaning life, and you have vivacious, convivial, vivid, bon vivant, and revive, joie de vivre. Now, you can come up with some more words which have this root, viviparous, right? So viviparous are those animals, oviparous animals, viviparous animals. I hope you know the difference, right? So viviparous animals are those animals which give birth to babies, right? So here, giving life is being applicable. Vitamin is also associated with life, vitality, right? So vitamin, something which is needed to live happy life, or something which is needed to have a happy, healthy body. So that is vitamin, vitality, vital. So vital organs, those organs which are necessary for survival. So vital, vitamin, vitality, all these words are also related with life, right? So that's a different root, but the meaning is same. You can Always associate VIT with VIV. Okay, now just to test you a bit with after this slide of VIV, let's see how clear you are with the meaning of these words, conviviality and asceticism. What you have to decide is whether these words are same or opposite, whether they are synonymous or antonymous, right? So convivial, we just understood the meaning of the word. Convivial stands for being sociable, right? Ascetic or asceticism. I hope you know the meaning of ascetic. Somebody who lives in isolation, somebody who does not like others' company, right? Who lives in solitude. So ascetic, sadhu sannyasi, a person who lives hermetic life. So ascetic is just opposite of convivial, right? So convivial is somebody who is very sociable, who is gregarious, who loves to be around people, whereas ascetic is somebody who lives in isolation. So they are opposite. Next, vivacious and apathetic. Is it same or opposite? I hope you came to your answer. Apathetic is having no emotion, no feeling, being detached with something, being nonchalant about something, being indifferent about something. So apathetic is having no emotion, no feeling, no opinion on something, whereas vivacious is full of energy, right? So it is marked by liveliness, just opposite, starkly opposite words. All right. So possibly, sometime in order to understand a word clearly, you have to understand what it is opposite of. So when you understand apathetic, you can easily understand the meaning of vivaciousness. Vivid and dull. So vivid is something which is vibrant, full of colors, clarity, right? Whereas dull is something which is lifeless. So opposite, very clearly opposite. Revive and kill. So revive is to bring back to life, kill is definitely opposite. Revitalize, rejuvenate. Right? So they are very clearly same words. They are synonymous. Revitalize is to bring vitality to something or to someone, whereas rejuvenate is also to impart freshness to something. Born Vivan, man about town. So usually the luxuries of life can only be enjoyed in a town where all the facilities are there to enjoy life. So hence, a person who is born Vivan is also known as man about town, right? So they are also synonym. Joy de vivre and boredom. Starkly opposite words. Joy de vivre is all about enjoying your life. Enjoying your life with full spirit and with full exuberance, whereas boredom is just the opposite word. Right? So with understanding these opposite, I hope the meaning is clearer now. One more root for today, that is scribe. A scribe comes for write, right? I hope a couple of words must be crossing your head. The words which have scribe as a prefix or scribe as suffix, right? So let's take a look at the slide and you may come up with your own words which you feel are suitable with this root. Scribe is a writer of copies. Author is also scribe, who writes something. So this root comes for write. Scribe is also used for an author. Transcribe. So you see transcriptions when you see a web series on these OTT platforms. You see subtitles coming, as in when a dialogue is delivered, the subtitle comes at the bottom of the screen if you have chosen for the subtitles to be shown. So you see that what is being spoken is being transcribed, right? So writing what is being spoken, right? So that way of writing is transcribed, transcription, right? Transcription is writing what is being spoken, all right? Proscribe. Now proscribe is to say officially that something is banned, right? So here, usually Whenever an official order is passed or whenever an official statement is given, it's returned in writing. It's given in black and white. So whenever something is banned, so recently the export of onion was prescribed. To arrest the prices, the skyrocketing prices of onion, government prescribed the export of onion. So prescribed is always done in writing because it's an official order, right? So official order is always issued in writing. So prescribe is to say officially that something is banned. So I'm just trying to relate it with writing to make it clear that official order is always passed in writing. To prescribe is to ban something, right? So if somebody is prescribed from an organization, he is not supposed to enter, right? Or if a thing is prescribed, so that means that thing is banned. So usage of mobile phones is prescribed in CBSE schools. A student is not supposed to carry a mobile phone while attending classes in a school. So the use of mobile phones is prescribed. All right? Scribble. So we all remember our school days when we used to sit on the back benches and write something. We doodle something on our pages in which was not, legible usually. So these writings were scribbles because they were not they you could not decipher what you wrote, or unintelligent way of writing is scribble. So writing something unintelligibly, so that is scribble. Writing carelessly, aimlessly, usually doodling is scribble, but it's also related with writing. Inscribe. So inscribe is inscription. So when you see a coin, right? So you see inscription there. When you see a gravestone, some inscription is there, right? So inscription is used for writing on a hard surface. You must have done some sports in college or school and won some trophies. So those trophies, you will see your college name or school name or the year that you studied is inscribed on that trophy. So inscribe, when you write on stone, you write on a metal, or you write on a hard surface. So that is inscription. So inscribe is to write on hard surface, right? Prescribe. So your doctor prescribes you the medicine which are going to treat your illness, right? So when you are down with something, your doctor prescribes you medications. So prescribe is to write beforehand. Script, we all understand a script is given to actors when they go for drama, when they go for a play, or when they go for a movie. They are given a script, a written document which gives them entire narrative in a written form. Manuscript, a document originally written by him. The manuscript of Mahabharata, written by Maharshi Vedvyas. So manuscript written, right? So manuscript is a written document which was originally written by him. Scripture, our holy writings are scripture, right? So Rig Veda and Yajur Veda, these are the holy ancient Indian scriptures. So they were also written in by hand. Ascribe. Simplistically, the word can be synonymous with attribute, right? So you give credit to something, or you say or write that this belongs to this, right? Or this happens because of this. So that is what the attribute means. So is ascribe. So to consider or state that a book was written by a particular person, right? So this drama is ascribed to Shakespeare. So when I say this, that means it is considered that Shakespeare wrote this drama, all right? Or this quote is ascribed to William Wordsworth. So here, this quote was written by William Wordsworth. So here, ascribe is to attribute it to. Ascribe is always followed by preposition to. Now one more word with scribe, that is circumscribe. Circum you understand, that is circle. Scribe you understand by writing. So you have a new word here. Circumscribe. The circle is to write or draw a circle around another shape, right? So if there is a triangle, when you circumscribe a triangle, you have drawn a circle around the triangle, right? So this is the literal meaning of circumscribe. How this word is used in different sense or metaphorical sense is to limit something. See, when you draw a circle around the triangle, you have limited this space, right? So that is what is the meaning of circumscribed. Because of coronavirus and because of lockdown, which was imposed as the implication of the spread of virus, we all were circumscribed. Our movement was circumscribed. We could not move from our houses. We could not move from certain places, right? So our movement was restricted. So the freedom was circumscribed, or the movement was circumscribed. Authority was circumscribed, right? So circumscribe is to limit something, restrict something. Let's quickly, let me walk you through the slide again, the words describing, scribe or write. So scribe is the author, is a writer. Transcribe is to make a written copy. Proscribe is to state officially that something is banned, is to write something and say that this is going to be banned. Scribble is doodling, writing carelessly and aimlessly. Indescribable, right? So it actually escaped my notice. Indescribable is something which cannot be written about, right? So the joy that I received when I saw my first book in my hand is indescribable. It cannot be expressed in words, right? So indescribable is anything which cannot be expressed in words, neither in speaking nor in writing, right? So again, indescribable. Inscribe is inscription, writing on the hard surface. Prescribe is prescription is given by doctor. Subscribe is also another word. So subscribe, when you subscribe a newsletter, when you subscribe a newspaper, you state in writing that you want this paper to be given to you, or you want this email to be in your mail every day. So that is how you give your consent in writing that this should be received by you every day. So that is subscribe. Ascribe, script, manuscript, scripture, ascribe to, that means attribute to something. Circumscribe is to limit something. Okay, so here we come to the last root for today, last root word for today, mort. That comes with death. So see how I covered two starkly opposite topics today, life and death. Life with V-I-V and death with M-O-R-T. So you have just two opposite roots today, two opposite realities of life, right? So mortal is something that cannot live forever, and that is used for something which has to die. We all are mortal. Our existence on this earth is mortal. The mortal remains of diseased people are immersed in Ganga, right? So mortal is something which is perishable, which is subject to death, which is going to perish one day. So that is mortal. Opposite is immortal, something which is everlasting, something which is not going to die. We are mortal, but our deeds are immortal, right? So that means what we do is going to have an everlasting effect, have an eternal effect, right? So immortal is something which is not going to die. Immortal beauty of Madhubala, right? So she became immortal because she died very young. We could not see her old age. We could not see how she looked in an old age. She died very young, so her beauty became immortal for all of us, right? So she transfixed all of us, all her fans with her beautiful features, her beautiful persona. So she became immortal for us. All right. Mortuary. Mortuary is a place in a hospital where dead bodies are kept for the purpose of handing those dead bodies to the people, the relative, or because the postmortem of that body is to be done. Another word is post-mortem. Post-mortem is after death. Investigation of the body after death, right? So autopsy is nothing but post-mortem. So that's another word related with root mortem. So mortuary, where dead bodies are kept. Mortality. This word actually became quite frequently used on different media platforms. In news, we came across this term where mortality rate of this disease was being discussed. So infection rate is very high, but mortality rate is still low. So mortality rate is death rate, right? The rate at which people die. Female mortality rate, infant mortality rate, right? So mortality rate is the death rate, which is measured against the death of 1,000 people, right? Mortgage, it's a legal agreement by which a bank or civil organization lends you money. So that is mortgage. So the asset that you undertake before an organization or a bank is dead for you. Unless you repay the loan, unless you give that money back to the organization that you have taken from, that asset cannot be used, cannot be sold or bought, right? So that's how that is a dead asset. Mortgage is nothing but a dead asset that you have given away to a bank or an organization against which you have taken money. So mortgage is related with death, but how? Because it's a dead asset, it's a dead property for you. Mortify. So mortify is to humiliate, to put somebody in an embarrassing situation, to put somebody in a situation where he prefers to die rather than facing that situation. It's a mortification. Mortification is when you are unable to answer questions in an online class. When a lot of people are watching you and somebody asks a question and you're unable to answer that query, you feel mortified, right? Or it's a situation of mortification when there's a press conference and the cabinet minister or a person who holds an important portfolio is unable to answer, right? So that's a kind of mortification. So mortification is any situation which is characterized by deep shame or humiliation. Mortify or to mortification. Mortification is going to be a noun, mortify is a verb. The mo word, it doesn't have T but M-O-R. So morbid is having or expressing a strong interest in sad or unpleasant things, especially disease or death. Right? So morbid discussion of death. So something which is very unpleasant. A lot of people start fixating on death when they start aging. When they are in old age, they talk about death, they talk about certain other things which are associated with death. So they have this morbid desire to talk about these things, right? So morbidity is sadness. So when a person dies in a family, you see morbidity across, that house or in that house. People look sad, depressed, and upset. So morbidity, a feeling of morbidity is feeling of sadness. Moribund. So if I say industrial sector came to a moribund state because workers could not be moved from one state to the other, right? So since workers moved to their own states, they migrated to their own state because of the spread of virus. The industries which are situated in certain states only, it came to a moribund state. It came to a moribund point. Moribund point, a moribund state is a state where everything stops progressing, developing, right? So after death, there is no development. Everything comes to a standstill. Everything stops. There is no chance of life or thriving or flourishing further. So no longer effective and about to come to an end completely. So moribund state. Economy has come to a moribund state. That means it's not developing further at all, right? So moribund is where, and if an organization comes to a moribund state, that means it has come to a dead end and now it's not going to be revived. So that's how moribund can be expressed, right? Mortician, a hangman, right? So a person whose job is to prepare the bodies of dead people to be buried or cremated and to arrange funerals. A person who arranges everything related with death, funeral, the customs, the rites which are performed and everything, right? Or a person who does the job of digging the grave in a graveyard. That's also a mortician, right? So look at the words here related with death. Mortal, something which is going to die, or somebody who is going to die. Immortal, eternal, everlasting, something which is going to live forever, or somebody who is going to live forever. Mortuary, where dead bodies are kept. Mortality, that is death rate. Mortgage, a dead asset. Mortify is to humiliate someone, put somebody in a shameful situation. Mortification is a noun. Morbid, having unpleasant feeling, having unpleasant or sad feeling, right? So when we heard that the toll in India has come to 1 lakh, there was morbidity across the country, right? So finally, 1 lakh people lost their lives, right? So that was morbidity. So morbid is feeling of sadness and unhappiness. Horrible is no longer effective, something which comes to an end, right? Something which is going to end completely. Mortician, a person who aids in death process, right? So see, with EU root, you learned 6, VIV 6, Scribe, we learned 12 words, with FIDE 11 words, Scribe 7 words, with mod you learned 9 words. So this strategy is not only effective but also efficient. With an session which did not even last for an hour, we learned this many words, and that too with one root. Understanding the root, we derived so many words, right? Now what you have to do is you have to build upon this strategy, right? You have to gather words. There is a root dictionary widely available on internet. There is a very famous book which I suggested in last class as well, that is Norman Lewis, which bases vocabulary building on etymology, right? So you can refer to that book. I have taken some examples from that book only. In other classes that I'm going to take in future based on the root, I'll base my classes on Norman Lewis only, right? There is another dictionary which is based on etymology only. You go on that and you learn words with roots, right? So it's easy to remember and it's easy to learn the words because you learn the meaning of specific word. Very quickly, let's try to put the understanding of these words into practice, right? So unless we are able to apply the word meaning in a given sentence or in a given context, we cannot actually assimilate the meaning completely, right? I cannot be really sure that I delivered the class successfully unless I know that you are able to put these words in proper context, right? Or with their proper usage. So let's see, you have 4 words here: credulous, credible, incredible, incredulous, right? I hope you remember. Nonetheless, I'll give you the meaning again and then you fill in the words in these sentences. Credulous is somebody who trusts others easily, right? A person who is naive and a person who is gullible and trusts others easily is credulous. Credible is somebody who can be believed. Credible is विश्वसनीय, जिस पे भरोसा किया जा सकता है और जिस चीज पे भरोसा किया जा सकता है. Credible record, a credible businessman, both. Incredible, अविश्वसनीय, लेकिन in a positive way, right? Incredulous, somebody who is skeptical, does not believe others very easily. Since I have lost a lot of money in share market, I have become incredulous. That means I don't believe in investing money in share market anymore. All right, let's put it into practice. The sentence is, she listened dash to her husband's confession of his frequent infidelity, for she had always considered him a paragon of moral uprightness. तो उसको भरोसा नहीं हुआ जब उसके हस्बैंड ने कन्फेस किया कि he has been infidel. That means he has not been loyal to her. उसको भरोसा नहीं हुआ because उसने हमेशा ये सोचा था कि he was a paragon of moral uprightness. Moral uprightness, नैतिकता का एक उदाहरण है. उसने ये सोचा था कि उसका हस्बैंड नैतिकता का उदाहरण है, इसलिए उसको बिलीव नहीं हुआ जब उसने ये कन्फेस किया कि उसका हस्बैंड उसके साथ लॉयल नहीं है. दिस इज व्हाट इज रफ द सेंटेंस रफली ट्रांसलेट्स इनटू हिंदी. दिस इज हाउ. सो क्या वर्ड आना चाहिए? शी लिसन्ड with credibility, she listened with credulousness, She listened with incredibility and she listens with incredulousness. What word do you feel is fitting here? Yes, the answer is incredulousness. She could not believe, right? She was skeptical. She was beyond belief because she assumed her husband was a paragon of moral uprightness. So she could not believe. She was skeptical of the truth of what her husband confessed, right? Next, he told his audience N. Now, N is there, that means a word with starting with vowel, starting with A, E, I, O, U will come, right? So that's a very clear indication. He told his audience dash, fantastic story of his narrow escape. This is incredible story of his narrow escape. Incredible and fantastic. Both are positive words. So I told you incredible is used in a positive way. Avishwasni, something which is beyond belief. Not because it cannot be believed, but because something which is hard to imagine. Third, he will believe you. He is very dash. आपको चिंता करने की जरूरत नहीं है. He is going to believe you. क्योंकि वो सब पे easily भरोसा कर लेता है. Right? That is why you can go and tell him this story. He is going to believe you. Right? So which word do you feel is perfectly fitting here? The word is credulous. Right? So he is credulous. He is going to believe you. Third. Fourth is make your characters more dash if you want your readers to believe in them. अगर आप चाहते हैं आपके कैरेक्टर्स पे लोग भरोसा करें तो आप उनको ज़्यादा विश्वसनीय बनाइए. दिस इज व्हाट दिस सेंटेंस वांट्स टू कन्वे. So make your characters more credible. As of now, the character sketch or the way you have sketched your character do not make them believable. So make them more credible, giving more details to make them vishwasniya, make them more credible. That's what the sentence means. Fifth says, we listened dumbstruck, full of dash to the shocking details of corruption and vice. Right? So something which was beyond belief, but in a positive or negative way. Corruption and vice, starkly negative, clearly negative, right? So we listened dumbstruck, we could not believe, full of incredulity. So here the form of the word is to be changed here. We listened dumbstruck, full of incredulity to the shocking details of corruption and vice, right? So we could not believe something of this kind could happen. He has the dash most good luck. Again, something beyond belief, but in a positive way. He has incredible. Incredible is the right word here. Next, naive people accept with complete dash whatever anyone tells them. Very clearly, the word is incredulous. Here again, you will have to change the form of the word. Here, credulous is adjective. Incredulity, noun, is to be used to make this sentence grammatically correct. So, naive people accept with complete credulity whatever anyone tells them. Right? So, they listen with credulity. Do you believe me? Question mark. Sure, your story is credible enough, right? Your story is, can be trusted because it is credible. So credible is the right word here. I'm not objecting to the total dash of your story, but only to your thinking that I am dash enough to believe it. Now, what do you think should be filled in the first blank and the second blank? So I guess you must have the clarity of the second blank, but only to your thinking that I am dash enough to believe it, right? कि आपने ये सोचा कि मैं easily इस पे भरोसा कर लूँगा, right? So second option, in second blank, it is surely credulous, right? You're thinking that I'm credulous enough to believe it, right? But first is, I'm not objecting to the total incredulity of your story, right? What I'm objecting is not the incredulity of your story, right? But you're thinking that I'm credulous enough to believe it. Alright, so this is how the sentence is complete and the tone is also conveyed. Alright, so these are very confusing words. Often they appear in confusing word questions or homonyms and homophones where you have to figure out from the sentence that which word is going to be fitting in the given sentence, right? So be very clear with the meaning, be very clear with their shade of difference, and be very clear with their forms. So where you need noun, where you need adjective, you have to decide then and there only. All right? Now, one more question, fill in the blank. Sugar has been dashed for diabetic patients. So here prescribe, circumscribe, prescribe. So which word do you feel should be appropriate here? Sugar has been prescribed for diabetic patients here, right? So instead of prescribe, it should be prescribed, ed, because the sentence is in present perfect tense. All right. So prescribe, that is to ban something. So prescribe will come here. From the earlier days of the new state, there were efforts to prescribe or circumscribe local authority powers. If you remember clearly, we did this slide explaining the words with scribe and discuss the meaning of all these three words. Prescribe is to suggest medication by doctor writing, prescribe is to ban, circumscribe is to limit something. So here the local authority powers are being limited, right? So that is why circumscribe will be the fitting word here, appropriate word here. One more word, the success of non-violent movement is ascribed to the ingenious ways of Mahatma Gandhi. So here, ascribe will be the right word here. Is ascribed to. Again, this word will also have D into it. The success of non-violence movement is ascribed to ingenious ways to Mahatma Gandhi. Alright? So this is how I come to the end of today's session, etymology, vocabulary building through etymology. So we learned as many as 40 words only with the help of 6 roots. See how efficient this technique may prove for vocabulary building. Needless to say, more robust your vocabulary, more power you have for communicating your idea not only in writing but also in speaking. So keep building on this strategy. As I told you, I gave you 2 resources. Please bank on these 2 resources. Norman Lewis is an excellent book for vocabulary building with the help of etymology, and the dictionary which is based on root, right? Keep watching this channel, keep watching my video for some more such session for vocabulary building, for grammatical accuracy, as well as for RC, right? Thank you very much.